I'll be a very passive moderator, unlike Professor Raja Rasaya. I will have little or nothing to say because the subject is not one with which I am familiar with. But when it comes to time management, I'll be quite strict. So please bear that in mind. So we will start immediately. The profile of the speakers is set out very clearly in the brochure, in the program. So I wouldn't want to go into any detail, except to say that we have one individual who has a very strong presence in the public sector, and the other two individuals who have a very strong presence in the private sector, with this gentleman, Muhammad Ali, entering into semi-public sector from 2014. So, who is going to start? Okay, fine.
Good afternoon. For those of you who have experienced the Japanese bullet train, I'll be going faster than that. All right, my name is Royce. I'm with the group of company called Bosch Rexroth. Today, I'm invited to speak on the business digital transformation. I will only focus on the manufacturing aspect, and this is very much on Industrial 4.0. I'm Royce, Malaysian. Okay, very quickly, for those of you who don't know the company is very unique. It is 92% a foundation, is a yayasan. Why am I saying this? Because for a yayasan, as you know, many yayasan always die a natural death. Yeah, they are either not properly governed or whatever. The family only has 7%. This company is very old. It's 136 years old. Started from Stuttgart, Germany. It is very strong now, position number 1, number 2 in the world in these 4 areas. Mobility, everything to do with motorcycle, cars, trucks, and things. We don't make them, we make the parts and the solution as a system. Secondly, springing from mobility will be industrial, everything to do with manufacturing lines and things like that. The third will be energy and building technology, and also consumer goods. Of all of this, probably everyone knows only one product. It's either spark plug wiper blades or power tools. Yeah, because these are the most visible one. All these 3, we are number 1 in the world, but it is less than 3% of the company's turnover. How big is this company? Very quickly. This company, I'm not updated it, but last year, 2018, it exceeded 400 billion ringgit turnover. What is 400 billion with respect to Malaysia? If you put all of the Bosch companies into Malaysia, it is more than 1/3 Malaysia's GDP. So one company is like a country by itself. Yeah, so and for the last 25 years, I work in a company, dia cakap tak cukup untung. Every year is like that, yeah, 20 billion, 25 billion, 27 billion. Now we have achieved 28. How did they do this in view that the company is it's an old company. It's a huge company. Large doesn't mean profitable. I can tell you many large companies are not profitable. The larger they are, the harder they fall. Yeah. So it is also because they are very dedicated in R&D. As just 1 year in 2017, they have that 38 billion ringgit in R&D. Last year, they have exceeded 40. Yeah. So, and also for 400,000 people. So you imagine a country of 400,000 people generating 400 billion. It is a country by itself, right? So, but we have been here now in Malaysia for nearly 86 years, 47 years in Penang in manufacturing. So this is one of a very old multinational company in Malaysia and still growing. But how did they do that? And the base word today is Industrial 4.0. So today I will only share one aspect of Industrial 4.0 that is on the manufacturing side, because that is what Bosch is very strong. Yeah. So right, we have got 283 plants now in the world, and 3 in Penang, growing at the rate of 3 to 4 factories in the world, somewhere in the world. Yeah, and every 30 minutes we sit here, they are generating more than 1 new patent. Now, generating patent does not mean a company again will be successful, because you still need to commercialize it. You still need to make it affordable for people to buy things, yeah, and to grow. So how did they do this? Now, what we do in Penang? Power tools, in Bayan Lepas, very successful. This is difficult. The next one is even more difficult. They do vehicle automotive steering parts. The entire steering column. Now, for this sort of things, when you deliver to the car OEM, one suspected breakdown, you have to recall all the cars that have been installed. You cannot tolerate this. It can kill any companies as in Malaysia, a complete recall. Yeah. So here again, we use Industrial 4.0 to safeguard that everything that leaves the plant is zero defect, and you can predict how and when it fails. This is the true output of Industrial 4.0. You must already see what happened in the field. Leaving your plant alone is not good enough. Right? Now, of the three parts, this is the most difficult part. We are doing multimedia in the car, which is navigation and things like that. And these three things are made in Penang. Last year alone, we have exceeded about 5 billion ringgit worth of export out from Malaysia. So again, the big question is, these are exported all over the world. How did Bosch do this? How do they become competitive? Again, I like to repeat, big doesn't mean a company will be successful. Please do not be fixated with this word big. Yeah, it is really how do you be sustainable. Now, I don't know how many. May I have a show of hand? How many of you are from the commercial arm? Commercial. Do you export a lot? Probably not, because I've been to many conferences where I ask for a show of hand. Most companies are jago kampong, very strong locally, have market share. But the moment they want to export, they are not competitive. Right? How not competitive? For example, everything that we make, of the 400 billion turnover that we make, do you know we have a contracted price reduction with our customer? Contracted, for example, when we make the navigation system, the steering system for the next 5 years, including Proton, Perodua, Mercedes, BMW, every one of them, there's a contracted price reduction of 3 to 5%, some as high as 10%, year-on-year compounding. Price reduction, when we know that energy, salary, and every cost is going up. How does Bosch do this? Now, for example, this is not extraordinary. The mobile phone that you buy today, in 3 years' time, you would expect it to have gone down how many percent? The same model, probably 30, 40, 50%. Otherwise, you wouldn't buy it. Yeah, so this is fact of life. If we are not able to have cost reduction, which means that enables us to have price reduction, any company in Malaysia, it's only a jago kampong. All is needed where the market is completely opened up. For example, our car industry, there's no more protection. Foreign company comes in, we're dead, flat dead, immediately dead. Yeah, because I also have visibility of ASEAN, because I took care of the ASEAN, and also in Bosch, we have visibility of all the other markets that we deal with, China, Euro, America. Yeah, we in Malaysia is not competitive. Really. We are kidding ourselves that we are competitive. We're absolutely not. The reason, because compared to ASEAN, Malaysia is the only country that is subsidized left, right, and center. Everything from sugar, energy, oil, and rice, and everything we are living on subsidy. The moment these subsidies are taken away, there's a multiplier effect that causes costs to go up. We are completely subsidized in everything that we do. Yeah, you go to Vietnam and Thailand, you look at the fuel price. It is floating free float of full price, no subsidies. Okay, let me go on. So in view that we have to have cost reduction every year, because it's a contracted price reduction that we must give to our customer. How do we do that? Every step of our process is digitized. Why do I use this word digitize? Because everyone interchanges this word digitization with automation and a whole lot of things. Bosch is very strong in automation, but we do not even look at the automation part before we digitize and find out where is the problem in every step of our process. From people to process to product to design, to every part is digitized. From the smallest problem to the biggest problem, you have visibility of the problem before you try to solve the problem. So if I may use a layman word, what is digitization? Digitization is like taking X-ray, MRI, it's like taking tests, to determine the problem before trying to solve it. Now, Malaysia, we have a problem. We have a tendency to ask the government for grant and to immediately go into the solutioning part. This is not correct. Because anyone who sells robot, Bosch sells robot. Anyone who wants robot, see me. Anyone who wants everything that is on automation, see me. But I'm just saying, don't solve the problem like that. Determine where is the problem first. And that one is called digitizing. So if I may explain now, digitizing everything to do with inside a plant, every aspect inside a plant. I'm using only a plant. I'm not looking at non-manufacturing. Everything inside a plant with 283 plants in the world, we have to make the plant connected. Machine talking to machine, machine talking upward, and plant talking to plants, plant talking to suppliers, and plant talking to customer. Every branch, vertical and horizontal. Yep, this is one of the pillar of Industrial 4.0, connectivity. Robots. Everyone is so fixated with robots because it's sexy, it moves, yeah? And, well, anyone who wants robot, please make a queue line, see me. We make robots. But again, I say, it is a solution after you really know what you need. So, for example, if you come to our plant in Penang, with more than 5 billion ringgit export, you don't see a single robot in there. Not because labor is cheap in Malaysia. Because robots are only used when you don't want to compromise safety. Safety for people is very important, number one, above everything else. Number two, if the job is so monotonous that the productivity goes down, people get bored, do the wrong thing, then only you use robot. Only in these two conditions. Right? Next would be even a simple thing, inventory. I am just so amazed. In the last 2 years, where we very actively roll out Industrial 4.0 to the market in Malaysia, I had the chance to visit more than 100 factories in 2 years, about 150 factories. I've seen everyone has the same problem. Everyone have no control about the inventory. Inventory, you go to a factory, things are all over the place, whether it's raw material, work in progress, or finished goods. And I said to all the business owner, the finished goods is where all your costs has gone in there, your manpower, your labor, and everything. And if inventory is not properly contained, it's not properly managed, you have high inventory, that is high holding cost. But until now, it's amazing that solutions are so simple because they have been always looking on the wrong part. So we said that solutioning on inventory is very important. Industrial 4.0, simple solutions. Amazingly simple. Yeah. So, and again, everyone is so fixated with virtual reality. Yeah. Look at this guy, he's wearing glass. In the glass, you can see, you can look at the part, he will tell you how to troubleshoot the thing, failing to realize before you can even put a glass, because a glass is just a glass, there's augmented reality. There's a lot of software behind. There's a lot of IT support that is required, which Malaysia is not yet producing enough. Not enough, not good quality, and not fast enough. Right? How not fast enough? In India, we have got Bosch has 24,000 software and software development and data analytics. 24,000, and we still can't get enough of them. We have to go to other countries like Vietnam to build up strength. Malaysia, susah mau cari. Because for all kind of reasons, I don't know how many of you are in education. This flip-flop of English and things like that, in STEM and things like that, we are getting quality of engineers that's coming out that's so you have to start to retrain them again. And now Bosch is a company that will train its people, but I'm just worried about the SMEs and all the others. Really, they don't have the capacity, they don't have the money to do that, they don't have the will to do that. So I'm literally begging the government, please, Vietnam is really overtaking us. When I was there, we have a big office there, but still, amazingly, it's a new office, just 6 years old, and we already have 3,000 software people there, mainly Vietnamese. And when I go there, amazingly, all the young people speak very good English. I was surprised. I said, how come you speak good English? You don't speak English at home. No, the government mandate you must speak 1 of 4 languages. Russian, English, at one time, Korean, maybe K-pop, and then another time, one other language, Mandarin. You must be fluent in one, very. And amazingly, the language of technology being English is the one that enables this transfer of knowledge quickly. Yep. So, all right, and another aspect of Industrial 4.0 will be everything to do with tools, connectivity with analytics, tools in our hands. Yeah. So, I hope pictorially it tells you what it is. Connectivity, tools to tool, tools to system, and tools to people. Right. Now, the other thing that's very important in everything, you can have the best thing, but if you're not able to visualize it, vocalize it, and make it understandable to the lowest level, Industrial 4.0 stops there. It has to be visualized. It has to be understood by the lowest level of people. So if you come to our plant in Penang, you'll find that many of the plants there are all makcik-makcik working from all the kampong-kampong places, Right, as far as Sungai Petani, every day they travel. Amazingly, I saw this 20 years already in Bosch, where we use very simplified way so that the people working there have ownership of what they do. Yeah, and these are the good culture already. Oh my God. Okay, all right. Okay, now, all right. Industrial 4.0 implementation must have tangible outcomes. So what is one of the tangible outcomes that I mentioned to you? For example, for us, we have contracted price reduction. Now, the other thing that Bosch as a MNC in the world, we have other things. We have got carbon footprint that we must reduce. Most companies that I deal with here in Malaysia, carbon footprint, they wonder what it is. Really. So they are not even talking about it. Do you know a lot of things, whatever that we make in Malaysia here, if it's used in Europe, they will ask you to prove, how do you dispose of your effluent here? How much water and energy do you use to make the power tools in Bosch Penang? They go to that extent. We are suffering this from our palm oil, yeah? We know this. Okay, so this carbon footprint, any manufacturer in Malaysia who does not pay attention to carbon footprint or don't understand it, their product will soon hit this kind of wall. So here, Industrial 4.0, when I go out to the market, I will tell them a carbon footprint, and it's in education, yeah? All right. When I say tangible outcome, this is a typical plant in Germany, a very old plant. You imagine 283 factories in the world. We have many factories that are 50 years old, 60 years old, 70 years old. Old plant. It's a big company. It's an old company. Yeah. So what do we do? To change into new equipment every 5 to 8 years doesn't need brains. It's just money. Yeah. But the ability to rehabilitate old equipment that may be 20, 25 years, 30 years, but you're able to rehabilitate it with Industrial 4.0, which means you don't have to buy new equipment. You have literally only spent a certain sum of money to rejuvenate it again. This is the goal hallmark of Industrial 4.0. The ability to rejuvenate. Yeah, at my age now, I'm just newly retired, fresh out from the mint. Anything that I can learn to make me better with Industrial 4.0, I tell you, is so exciting. For 35 years of my working career now, I've never been so excited. Really. Because I can see that when I go out to the market, I'm able to help companies squeeze up productivity. If you ask me for a number, how unproductive is Malaysian industry after so many years in the industry and now really actively with a fine glass to see how unproductive? Over the journey of 5 years, I think we can squeeze out nearly 50% productivity from every company. Really. At least 50%. Yeah? Okay. But in the middle of it all is people. It's people that creates processes. It's people that improves processes. So I get this question from even university vice chancellor who asked me, so Industrial 4.0 will get rid of people? I said, on the contrary. All right. Right. Yeah. So it must have tangible outcome. It must have clear savings. It's not a hairy-fairy subjective thing. Yeah. So again, for a lot of people, I would say, please go for upskilling and certification for Industrial 4.0. There are equipments, there are certification, there are syllabus, immediately to upgrade people who have already been in industry or years in the industry. Yeah, so this is in Bosch. And all right, there's a clear milestone of what to be achieved. Okay, we are very happy last year the government appointed us to be a national consultant under the MDEC program. Look at what the government wants to do: increase productivity, reduce foreign worker, and also new source of growth. This is a real good outcome-based Industrial 4.0. For me, if you ask me, is the government having the right direction? I say yes, compared to ASEAN, compared to other Asia countries. Yes, right? Okay, and all right, lastly. Okay, between the ground, this is physical, and to the heaven, which is the management, cyber physical. The above is cyber, the below is physical. Up to now, this is the situation. Everything is manual, equipment breaks down, no data, people quarrel, people don't quarrel anymore after a while, and dependent on foreign worker, and lastly, cost increase. So where is Industrial 4.0? One of the things that it does is it has solutions that are already created, and mainly these are very much driven from software and sensors. and solutions. Okay, these are ready solutions towards solving the problem. Now, and this must be the outcome, real time, even life balance. Yeah, and this is the last slide. Again, I'm just saying, after nearly 2 years, these are the boxes of things I can tell you. Every industry is suffering. In fact, not one, but almost all the boxes applies to many of them. When you have applied Industrial 4.0, this will be the outcome. You can say that many of things are with data analytics. It goes out of clouds. Systems are computed. You use the same people, but you have higher outcome. Done.
Okay. Royce has talked about the Industry 4.0 in the context of technology. We involved in looking into Industry 4.0 since 2016. We are actually a society, we are not a company. So that we have an industries. We are 30 years old associations looking into helping industries move to next level. And let me simplify. Basically, if you want to have a migration of the manufacturing industries, we have charted out a plan that must make sense. There are people on it, there are process, and also there are technologies, right? Well, we're going to look into the problem statement that we usually see in the fourth industrial revolutions. Most of the people will be talking about technologies, right? We need to have this technology, we need to have that technology. But since we help migrate many companies, big companies and small companies, we see something that very, very glaring that we need to look into, which is actually human capital. Let me give you a perspective. We had helped many industries to move, and as soon as they invest in technology and migrate, they see the problem. It's not that the machines, the tools that they invested doesn't solve the problem. It solves the problem, but it creates another problem. The problem that we see is actually with the human capital. The biggest problem in this human capital is actually the current and future generations. When I'm talking about current and future generations, is Generation Y and Generation Z. To give you a perspective, we have a baby boomers, which is born in 40s and onward. We have Gen X, which is actually 70s and above, and then Gen Y that born 95 and 2000 and above, and then Gen Y the reason. So we see whenever you put a lot of technologies into the industries, first problem that we see is actually adaptations of a new technology by baby boomers and Gen X. They have challenges to address. Why? The fourth industrial revolution, to put very simple, is not new. What is happening in the fourth industrial revolution is taking up existing technology and converge it. That's what. Three different technology converge in the fourth industrial revolutions, which is operational technology, which is involved in the manufacturing, doing things, working, producing a product. Information technologies, which is take the information from the product itself, from the consumer, and also finance technologies. Let me give you a scenario for you to understand this. What is this about? If you want to buy a shoe now, right? What we do, we will go to the mall or supermarket, we buy a shoe, a sneakers or sport shoe. So we will buy a shoe. We see, you put a size and everything, we'll buy. We will pay 500 ringgit for a good jogging shoe. But what the fourth industrial revolutions enable is actually, you can go now, go to the Nike online, you can actually order a shoe for you, the same Nike shoe that you may find in the shop, but now you can customize. You can set the strips you want in blue color, the cushion you want in this manner, and design it. You can customize it to you. And the Nike shop are able to produce that particular shoe just for you and ship it up to you within 5 days. The price will be the same as you bought in a mall. So now the revolutions of this technology enable you to have your own shoe customized to you, right? And all of us know that to make a shoe, we just have to have a big factory, and then there's a lot of machines and workers and keep on producing. But how I am able to enable a shoe customized just to my taste and to be sent to me within 5 days. And even if I want the shoe within 2 days, I can. I just pay additional 10 ringgit Malaysia. So if I go to Alexan or Nike shop or Sport Direct, I'll buy a shoe which is just standard there, 500 ringgit. But now I can custom design the shoe and get it within 2 days. Pay additional 10 ringgit. So look into this different perspective. Manufacturers who make these shoes have to put a lot of technology together to are able to give you the shoes as you want. So this is where the three different technology converge for you to have this shoe. Now let's get back to the factories where you have a group of baby boomers and Gen X that very experienced, well known with their knowledge, and you have a new people come to the industries. So the biggest problem that we see when these two different technologies converge and you have a two different group of people converge, things break down. We have some group of people, which is actually baby boomers and Gen X, very experienced, that know how to deliver things. They are having difficulties to handle these many new technologies which has never been exposed. And another challenge that you have a young generation who come, we just can in a flip can understand things, but they have a different set of problem. The baby boomers and Gen X can stay in one company for very long, design a work, improve the yield, produce the results. But Generation Y and Generation Z are brought up in the area of instant gratification, which is they cannot wait. If they go to the company, they immediately want to make an impact and they want to see the result. So these are some of the biggest challenges that what we are seeing in the industries. So I'm going to show you one more chart to prove. You look at this one over here. This is snapshot in industry workforce in Penang in 2001 to 2005. The blue shows that employee, a skilled employee, move within the manufacturing, right? I from this company move to another company, probably do the same job. That's what's happening. But now if you look at this chart, this is a manufacturing. People move out from manufacturing to a lot of different sectors. Why? Because the knowledge of the manufacturing now needed in some other areas. So this shows that the knowledge that you need to learn is actually very wide. These are the second point that I'm highlighting in terms of human capital. So what point that we can take from here is actually when we want to produce a talent in the future, the talent must know many things. The first challenge, how to enable the existing workforce to know many things. The second challenge is actually the future worker have to know many things. So this is something that we have to consider. Okay, probably this will be my last slide. I don't know, let me see my timing. Yeah, okay. So, I've told you the two big problems right now, existing talent and also the future talents. So let's look at how we produce talent in Malaysia. You see, industrialization really start to root in Malaysia in 1970s, when Penang opened up its free trade zone to have the people come. So during the time, if you look at the advertisement in newspaper, they say need mechanical engineer, needs electrical engineer, need some engineers. Very specific, their job. They go there, they do the job, they come back. But when industrialization moved to semi-automation, you take semi-automation means you have a mechanical, you have electrical, two things comes together, right? This is semi-automations. So during the time, the knowledge that the workforce need to have is two different, mechanical and electrical combined together. So during this period of 85 and onwards, our education system responded very, very well. We produce a program, hybrid program, things like mechatronics. Mechatronics is combined with mechanical and electrical. And many, many hybrid programs has been born. Our universities, colleges start to teach. So during this period, no problem. our industry flourish. But when it comes to era of internet, 95 and then above, 2000 and above, you have internet comes. Their new knowledge comes by. But our education system still work on the previous one. The new technology which they have, they didn't combine. There's no new hybrid program. That's why when Tun Dr. Mahathir launched MSc, Multimedia Super Corridor, 95 and above, Cyberjaya, Putrajaya, all has been formed. We see the industry rush into producing IT programs, system administrator, multimedia developer, everything. But where they are now, they don't have job. Because industry doesn't need 10 system administrator. The industry doesn't need 10 multimedia engineer. They need an engineer who knows about multimedia. They need an engineer who knows about system administrations. That's why a lot of people that we produce are not employed and paid to that level. So, first mistake, era of internet, we didn't produce hybrid program. Now with the fourth industrial revolution, remember I tell about many different technology comes by. There's one more technology come by, right? In these technologies now, we in the education system and workforce have to think about how we can make this hybrid in our education system. So this is something that if you have educators here, you have to think about. You know, how you can make your student to know a lot of things, you know, in depth and also broader. So this will be our biggest challenge now, you know, for us to make sure that we, whenever country invest a lot of money migrating the fourth industrial revolutions, educations must follow through. So wisely, you know, do not rush into producing a lot of programs that may be relevant for other countries. Look into what we need in our countries and start producing it. So in the summary, what I'm trying to tell, I didn't tell any solutions because why? It's not enough time to tell you a problem and solution in 15 minutes. But I had highlighted to you 3 main problems that we are facing now and we will face. If we wisely look into this particular problem, talking about the current workforce, how to reskill and upskill them, talking about the future worker, how to make sure that, you know, they have knowledge that they can help the industry grow, and to make sure that our education system to be adaptable to address these issues. If we are able to do these things, it will solve 4 major problems that our country faces. The first problem, we are middle income country, which just means that our country produce a lot of middle income people. These people need job. Second problem, we have a lot of foreign workers that taking up, you know, a local. It's not local do not want to work, so they are work there, right? The reason because our education system is so good, we produce a lot of diploma, degrees, so nobody want to work down, right? We have second problem. Third problem, we produce 400,000 students to the after SPM, right? A lot of universities, you know, we have a lot of universities and a lot of people coming out. So we have a lot of people coming out and no job. In one area, a lot of job, another area, don't have job. STEM areas have a lot of job, non-STEM areas don't have a lot of job. But our system always produce non-STEMs more, STEMs less. So we have third problem that we have. Lastly, the fourth problem is actually, our country is a very small population. We cannot produce a part and sell in Malaysia and the company can survive. You must sell outside. Any product that you produce need to be market, world class, need to be sold. So believe me, for past 3 years, we did a lot of study in Industry 4.0. Industry 4.0 can help address all this problem. If we get to our act properly and do the things correctly. So I think I will stop my presentation here. I give a lot of point for you to think. Do your thinking. Thank you.
Please bear with me, maybe for 10 minutes, I'll just run through the policy that we have formulated and launched last year, October 31st. Royce and Mohammed explained to you what's happening in Malaysia as well as in the world when it comes to fourth industrial revolution and the challenges that we face. Keeping that in mind, 2 years ago, the government started drafting, having consultations, benchmarking visits and everything. Lots of things happened in the last 2 years and we came up with the policy. But the policy is not a magic pill you can swallow and everything sorted. No. It's a journey when it comes to fourth industrial revolution, and Industry 4.0, the transformation, it's a journey. So it's a 3-year program that we have put in, but then the target's to be achieved by 2025. I wouldn't touch on this because I'm sure the learned people here, you all know what is the difference between fourth industrial revolution and industry, for the manufacturing sector, industry 4.0. Okay, so Malaysia's situation now. Being in the government, I've gone to do outreach in all the states in Malaysia, including Sabah, Sarawak. So the question always thrown at me, being a civil servant, I'm the most, slept around person. I'll be the only civil servant who's doing policy will be standing in a crowd, and I would face a lot. So I've always been asked, is Malaysia ready for industry 4.0, fourth industrial revolution? I think Roy said that we are, it's a struggling country, we are not ready and all that. Yes, in pockets, there are industries, they're already doing what needs to be done, they are ready. But Malaysia has the potential. We are in the leader quadrant among the 25 countries identified by the World Economic Forum in 2011 because of the strong production base that we have. If you look at the region, Malaysia has the leadership, and we should not be complacent that we are in the leader quadrant and embrace the industry 4.0 and transform if we want to be competitive and globally relevant and step out of the comfort zone of Malaysia, 30 million population. It's not enough to consume what we are producing. So then the government policies are, one is industry forward. That is the National Policy on Industry 4.0 launched last year, and the other one is National IoT Strategic Roadmap, which was launched in 2015 when MIMOS was under the Ministry of Science and Technology. So we are putting in the National IoT Roadmap, putting it together with Industry 4.0. After all, IoT is one of the technology pillars within the Industry 4.0. So the mission statement, okay, it's boring stuff, fine. The objective is anyway to attract the right stakeholders to be on part with the journey of transforming the industry and then creating the ecosystem. When it comes to industry development, we have had, from the 1960s onwards, we had developments in pockets, right? Steam engine kind of an manufacturing sector and all that. Putting together assembly, we accepted any investments coming, and then we did not have the right training provided. But then this policy is seeing to address that, to have a ecosystem development. And then in the end, we would like to see the manufacturing sector transformed into beyond automation, to become smarter, to become intelligent manufacturing sector. So the key areas to be addressed now is that technology, process, and people. I'm sure everyone, I was not able to be here yesterday, and then today we heard the people part of it. Do we have quality people to support where we are heading, where the companies, the manufacturing process is heading, and then to support the processes. So the policy has some action plans to address all those. This is the manufacturing landscape, what manufacturing sector contributes to the economy. So it's about 22 to 23% of Malaysia's GDP is contributed by the manufacturing sector. Of course, it should not be neglected. We have to improve it. Even though compared to services sector, it's about 55%. But then, when we actually turn the commodities, Malaysia is resource rich, turn the commodities into high value added products, it will definitely contribute more. We have targets for 2025, which is, we would like to achieve the contribution to 395 billion by 2025. And then the exports is about 84% of the total gross exports are coming from the manufacturing sector. If you look at the outfits, manufacturing sector outfits, 49,000 establishments are belonging to the manufacturing sector and 97.1% belonging to the SMEs. So that's where the policy is aspiring to address how we can transform the SMEs. So these are the 4 goals, big targets. one of the most important ones I would say is to increase the number of the skilled workforce in the manufacturing sector from currently 18% to 35%. We need academics' help. We need the industry's help. Even Roy's help is needed here, so that we learn from each other. We have government institutes, we have private institutes. We have a lot to actually learn from each other, so that we train the skills so that they are relevant for the workforce and future-proof them, and also make the manufacturing sector attractive enough for our folks to work, local workers to work in that area. These are the normal sectors that have been promoted by the government from the 1960s. E&E is nothing new. Penang started industrialization with big MNCs coming into that sector, and then we had several other sectors. And now we are looking at other sectors where very high foreign labor is being used. Lots of grouses thrown at government. They want foreign labor because our locals don't want to work shoulder to shoulder with foreign labor. So we would like to address that by making the manufacturing sector more attractive, more intelligent, and increasing our folks' skills so that they are also intelligent enough to operate such technologies. So these are the strategic enablers. When I said ecosystem development, this is it. We have to have the right financing, and the infrastructure has to be there to support the technology, high speed technologies and the processes. And the regulatory framework, this is specific to see where the companies are, the manufacturing sector companies' situation is when it comes to Industry 4.0 transformation, how smart they are and all that. And then skills. We really need to train the current students so that they are relevant for the future workforce, as well as upgrade the existing workforce so that they remain relevant for the transformation, for the changes, for the advancement happening in the shop floor. And then access to smart technologies. We are trying to come up with some solutions so that SMEs will not be shying away from the Bosch kind of labeled high expensive technologies, but get access to the local cheaper solutions. Like Mr. Mohammed said earlier, that legacy machines can be installed with some sensors to make the outfit a bit, the machines a bit smarter to work for you. The readiness assessment is the one going to, we would like to see at least 500 Malaysian small and medium-sized companies to undergo readiness assessment so that we will know where they are. And then at the second phase, we would like to see them go through some kind of intervention program to see some part of the companies be smart. So we would like to see at least one company in each state of Malaysia to have a kind of factory which can be a model factory to produce efficiently, to reduce labors, to become smarter. These are the incentives available. I wouldn't touch so much on it. I think it's not much of an interest at this forum. I will skip this. So this is what the Industry 4.0 related technologies would do to the manufacturing sector. So when it comes to speed, the quality, flexibility, their optimization, competitiveness, the policy has 38 action plans in total. We are working with various ministries. We don't consider MITI to be an expert. So for instance, PSDC is the one, the institute is training our assessors so they are actually have that convergence knowledge to undertake the readiness assessment in the companies they are going to, so that they can actually identify some recommendations and the pain points so that the companies undertake the kind of changes they need to, so that they become much more efficient and lower their costs, again global relevant, and also have global presence by able to exporting their quality products. So that's it from me. Thank you.
You see, this is what we get when you have an economist who's also a banker. You become super efficient. Yeah, but good for us. Anyway, I'm just starting, Tan Sri. Maybe others can ask questions after this. I just want to bring back to our Mahathir 1.0 strategy of Cyberjaya, the digital computerization IT revolution. Yeah, the plan was for Malaysia to come up after Silicon Valley, and it didn't quite happen. India happened. Yeah. So now we're talking about Industry 4.0, and Vilma, thank you very much for sharing the plan with us. You know, it looks impressive, and it's good to know where we are vis-a-vis or in the continuum of the knowledge that or the potential, yeah, for Malaysia, where Malaysia would be. Yeah. So yeah, okay. My question to you is that before the chairman cut me short. My question to you is, would we see, so when the Mahathir 1.0, the keluhan, what you get from IBM, especially Malaysians, were that, of course people of my generation would remember this, that we were so disappointed. We were thinking that Malaysia would be the country, not India. Yeah. So this time around, I don't know, maybe there are people who are looking, or Malaysians out there, yeah, who are looking at Malaysia to come up again with the IR 4.0. But in your own sense, yeah, do you think we'll be able to make it this time, to be the leader in the region or in the area of IR 4.0?
I hope, Prof, you don't mind if I open the floor to a few more questions, then I will ask the panel to respond. Are there any other questions? Yes. So, panelists, please note you have to respond.
Hi, thank you. So, considering that Malaysia's more industrialized SMEs are still very much concentrated in urban areas in the country, what are your respective opinions on the sort of inequality that were generated by the different speeds of adapting and, adapting to Industry 4.0 across the nation, especially across the urban and rural divide? Thank you.
Is Malaysia capable of being there? Right, that's the first one. And then the divide when it comes to urban and the outskirts. You see, when we look at the fourth industrial revolution, we were there in the 1970s at par with all other ASEAN, okay, some of the ASEAN countries, we were there. And then things changed. But then when it comes to fourth industrial revolution and Industry 4.0, if you look at around the region, Thailand came up with their policy first, and then came Singapore and Indonesia, now Malaysia. So when we are actually stock taking on what happened around the region, and we work very closely with Royce, yeah, I talk bad about him, but we work very closely, and also Muhammad, because when we evaluate how we are actually implementing the policy, we actually check and balance on what everyone is doing, other countries are doing. With the rate that we are going, and we also collaborate with the private sector. When it comes to assessing the companies, not only the government agencies are doing, we opened it for the private sector to be part of this. So we learn from each other to go forward, and we have a bit of funds allocated. So with that 2025 target, I believe we can definitely do it. Given that we have our own manufacturing strong base. If you look at Singapore, it's a very service-oriented country, and Thailand has a very strong base, Vietnam has a very strong base, Indonesia is very big. They have their own domestic consumption and all that. So I believe we can do it with the current force that we are doing, we can definitely make it. And we are looking at the divide urban. So the policy, we have a internal policy to go to all the states that they have to have the right type of skills development centers equipped with the right modules to train the workers so that they remain and work there. In addition to that, we also have some numbers of companies to come on board on this journey, so that there's no much of movement out of those states. Like I would frankly tell, like Perlis, we don't have companies signed up for this. So when I'm talking to the Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers, they are saying that they only have 6 members. So so it's there. We are managing with what we have, so that at least each state would have a company coming on board to be transformed to be a smart factory. Yeah.
Thank you. Roy,
I think we have been focusing on manufacturing, Industrial 4.0. There is also the non-manufacturing aspect, on services, agriculture, aquaculture, and things like that. That's very much Industrial 4.0. In fact, it's easier to implement in those areas. Like Vimala said, correct, for ASEAN, Malaysia has a happy legacy. We have already, the manufacturing has started a long time, a lot of investment has been made, building land, equipment. So therefore, most of these are depreciated, amortized over 15, 20 years already. So Industrial 4.0 now is to add a little bit more with retrofits and things to make, as I explained just now, to make new. Compared to maybe like Vietnam, that they have to invest from start. So they have already a big, the investment that we have, the amortization that will have to go on for the next 5, 8, 10 years. So yes, we are still ahead. All that we need is to maintain this momentum to go on some more. Now, I think also, and just now mentioned about Tunem, when he first started computerization of Malaysia, he also said this thing. I remember when I was a little bit young, 25, 30 years ago. He says Malaysia needed 77 million people. And all of us here are guilty of not producing that. At that rate, we should be producing something like 5, 6, 7 kids a family. We are not doing that. So we are all guilty to that. I cannot say for a country that's 32 million and not rising very fast, we just 15 million EPF contributor. That's all for this country. In that sense, we are very lucky. But in the sense, we just don't have people enough to work. The attrition rate of Bosch Penang is high, but we're still lower than the entire Penang. But we're losing 1 engineer per day. 1 engineer per day. And it will get worse, because apart from just Singapore, that they go to Singapore to work for a better salary, now with Japan opening its door to immigrants, I think we are going to lose a lot of people. Used to be Taiwan, and now it's Japan. Very sexy country, lots of money to be earned there. I think we're going to face that some more. Okay, lots of people may not be going to China now to work, because the Chinese are also getting very good at what they do, but still everyone is competing to get our people, because we all speak good English. We're very nice people. Okay, so I think we are going to face this. So the sooner we implement Industrial 4.0, which is one of its targets, is to increase productivity of the people that we have. Very important. Number 2, I would like to reverse by saying maybe we should have more foreign workers, but with high productivity. Then that will increase our GDP. Yeah, right. So coming back to the urban-rural divide, probably I would maybe generalize by saying a lot of the rural things are still very agriculture. Their Industrial 4.0 is very applicable, really. Yeah, thank you.
I just wanted to say 70 million would make no difference to the equation. Even China with 1 billion or more, people cannot go it alone. Let's be very clear. We must get our priorities right.
Okay, let me answer this question by asking a question whether what we did right or wrong. This is a challenge of us. We always like to put the KPIs that even today I was in a government Putrajaya. Everybody rushing into meeting KPIs. Yes, we put a KPI. You need to have this, you need to have that. We always see the summit. We will not want to put an effort at how you're going to climb the mountain, right? Let me ask a question. Are we doing it right? In 1970s, if you talk about foreign workers, it's only expatriate, the general manager, the CEO, the managing director. Fine. In 1985 and above, if you talk about foreign workers, entry, workers, So during this period, the general manager still there, foreign workers, and then the younger people also be, the entry level workers, foreign workers. And then now, even middle workers are foreign workers, engineers, technicians. Are we driving our country correctly? We should ask the questions. If we can't, if we talk about having millions, billions investment, but if we don't be able to put that to the perspective of the local development, then we should ask these questions. So the key question is actually the KPI by 2025, we need to have this and that. But if we are not be able to even produce, then we have an issue. Let me justify that. Every year Malaysia have billions of investment, but every year we have a deficit of workers. We bring workers. Calculation says that even all the public universities and colleges and local, the private university and colleges get together to address the previous deficit that we have are not able to do it. Then how are you going to talk about building a successful nation that can be successful in Industry 4.0? I think we should ask these questions, give answers, and build our country. I remember in 1995 when Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim was Deputy Prime Minister, I was a final year student in South Korea doing my E&E degree. During the time he come and tell about, we need all our workers. I asked him a question. During the time, I remember, we are overheating our economy by putting in so many things. And to support the overheating, we get foreign workers. Where we are heading? Now, I think people don't have to explain me the answer. We know. So, meeting by certain level, are we going to be in Industry 4.0 is subjective. We need to define that we want to be there, but we want the local economy, the local people to benefit. So it's adequate for us to do whatever necessary toward that directions, not to put a fancy target and meet just by the numbers. Second point on the rural, as I mentioned that, for problem, Industry 4.0 is the best solution that we can have that can solve digital divide between rural, productivity, food sustainability. All the things can be achieved through right implementation of Industry 4.0. Hope all other ministries other than MITI should look into this. Even MITI are delayed out of our neighbor countries. Other ministries not even started yet. The small traders, all these things, so we are not even thinking about that. Should do that quickly before rest of the people leave us behind. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm happy that you raised some issue which I was wanting to pose to the panel. That is the IR 4.0 policy out of sync with our labor market policy as well as education policy, which is we have been allowing import of brawn freely from about 1990, when we ceased to be a labor surplus economy. And then there's also been export of grain. So the combination of those two circumstances, import of brawn and export of grain, and inadequacies with our education policy has not ensured that we have kept up or caught up with the likes of Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong and the like, So, industry out there is still demanding for cheap import of labor and the like, And so we are, and the government doesn't seem to want to do anything about it. It's just simply going along with that, So I see that the various policies we are following, even under Pakatan, is out of sync with each other. Unless we address, we synchronize the policy, I'm not sure whether you would really be able to achieve your aspirations with regard to IR 4.0. So I'm not sure whether any members from the floor want to raise some related question. If you wish, or you want to make a brief comment, if you wish to, please do so. Then we can ask the panel once again to address the problem. Of course, Mohammed comes from PDC. He hardly has told us anything about what PDC is doing. You know, Royce, we have heard lots of it from the Bosch perspective. Of course, Mitty has given its perspective, which is important, but we have not heard. Now, I know Dr. Chatsing, you know, as a personal friend. He was the founder, CEO of PDC, an active member of MEA, you know. He was heading our northern branch for many years, you know. So, you must also add what exactly you in PDC are trying to do to achieve this transition. Okay, any other queries or comments? Sorry. If not, then I'll have to open the floor. I'll let my panelists on my right to speak last. So maybe Royce, you want to start? Whether, you know, our policy is in sync with each other, you know.
Having, as I mentioned just now, having perspective of ASEAN countries and also of, I would say, as I said to Vimala before, I think we are very much in sync, except I think the horse is running, the cart is running away from the horse. Yeah. So, so coming back, maybe that's the word, it's sync. So the horse and the cart must be running together. So, but at least what I'm happy is that there is a cart and there's a horse. Some countries, as I look, no cart, no horse. Yeah. So, I think also, again, because we are, most industries in Malaysia are so dependent on subsidies and grants, they have to be weaned away from it and to realize that they need to make their own investment. You know.
Oh, you want to speak last? Okay, okay.
Well, I'll just conclude that, you know, when it says that Industry 4.0 is second chance for Malaysia. We are very excited in PSDC, saying that, you know, we must embrace it. But the point, we must do correctly. That's the point. I will conclude this one with one example that I disagree with the KPD and KK ministries now. In the points of to address the price increase to crowd during the festival season, we are always looking to put the shilling price for every single component. Okay, and also the ministry also proudly says that, you know, look at the price control. They want to do a price control because the onion that we bought from South Africa, as long as it's reached our shore, from the importer to the one distributor, the profiting is 120% before it reach few times to the end. So the ministry looking into try to put a law to crop it, and then they try to produce a digital mall kind of thing, so everybody can know the price, everybody can sell each other. But fundamental question is actually, what are the activities that we're going to do enable a local people to grow onion and they can sell? Nobody talking about it. We are trying to put a law to stop. We're trying to put a platform so things price can be transparent, but this will not solve the problem. Industry 4.0 have a solution that you can, any engineers, anybody, you can grow that, you know, things behind your home or whichever, that you can sell to the platform, to the government they're going to create. So the importance is actually do the right thing first. Either we're going to put a, you know, a law saying that you cannot take profiting so high, or we're going to put a platform that we don't have people to sell in the platform, or we're going to look into how to enable people, graduates, to go into future farming that they can produce. So these are the questions that we need to ask, and these are the questions that we as a public have an answer. And I don't think there is any proper time for us to do questions, you know, the government to do the right thing, because we have choose a new government. So it's about us to make sure the new government to perform as what we want. That is my concluding statement.
Thank you.
Okay, going back to digitalization and the industrial revolution, right? The government policies are in sync with the challenges faced by the economy. Uh, I won't be able to answer generally for all policies, but at least I will bring you all back to the Industry 4.0, the national policy. Uh, as I mentioned earlier, MITI is not an expert in undertaking the technological transformation and whatnot. Yet we want to think for the manufacturing sector because we have to set the scene right so that it's futuristic. The potential is not doesn't dim and die. So we talk to the relevant ministries, say for skills, we sync with the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Human Resources so that they are working hand in hand with us to understand what is the industry's requirement is when it comes to skills. That one we are doing. So we are thinking, this is the policy, this is the answer that we are thinking. And when it comes to infrastructure, we would not be able to identify which are the industrial parks has the potential, the companies who would want high-speed broadband. So we are having KKMM on board to identify the right industrial parks which has potential so that we fund those industrial parks to give last mile connectivity, high-speed broadband. So these are some examples how we are syncing with the current development and the policy making. So it's happening. When it comes to fourth industrial revolution and industry 4.0, it's not a step. I take one step and I'm done. No. It's going to take a few years. But we are starting it right. And then as Mr. Muhammad said, it takes some time. It's not that the moment policy is launched, I'm directly involved. I'm the focal point for implementing the Industry 4.0 policy for the country. Can you imagine the kind of work that involved? It's not a matter of coming up with a blueprint and go and implement. No. We have to, in my ministry, we have to sit down and come up with the right guidelines, the criteria, the governance structure, the transparency has to be in place. So we are doing it slowly but correctly. It has to be done correctly. There's no U-turn for this. So previously, I'm not so sure. We had development of policies relevant, seen by each sector as relevant, but we are thinking to move forward. And when it comes to labor requirement, even yesterday I was talking to these Indian entrepreneurs. Again, I was alone, a civil servant alone there. They were telling, you are not solving the problem. We need laborers. Otherwise, we are moving. You know what I told them? Yes, please leave because we don't need such industry here. If Malaysia is a conducive environment for you to be here 20 years ago, and we gave you tax exemption and incentives for you to stay, by not having 5 foreign labor, you want to leave? Yes, please do. I'm a very bold civil servant. I just tell them, if tomorrow the government stops issuing foreign labor visa, what are we going to do? So I tell the industries, Industry 4.0 is the answer. If you don't transform your manufacturing sector, your other sector, your sectors will remain not intelligent, will be requiring the low-cost labor, which we don't have. When are we going to change? We have to bite the bullet. And today is the day. Now is the time.
Thank you very much. I wouldn't prolong the session any longer, but I must thank the panelists for making this afternoon session more interesting and discussing the issues much more substantially than the previous afternoon session, to be very frank. In fact, I found this current session more productive session. Even issues that need to have been discussed at the other afternoon session on talent development, talent management, at least the panelists have addressed this in this session. So I would like to invite you to thank our panelists in the usual way for a very
Ladies and gentlemen, every good thing comes to an end. We had very 2 days packed, full of packed information, and unfortunately, as I said, every good thing comes to an end. We cordially invite on stage Professor Dato Noma Mansur, the President of MEA, for the closing ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon. I promise that this is going to be a very short, the shortest closing perhaps. Unlike our past conventions, this 2016, excuse me, where am I? 2019 economic convention is different. The analysis is there, the information, data that you need is also there, but more than that, we wanted it to be more analytical, more reflective, and also practical. So I think this afternoon, though Tan Sri Tilianathan said otherwise perhaps, but I think these are some of the scenarios or some of the cases that would give us a clear indication of what's happening out there. So this is what I mean by practical papers, practical presentations that they are dealing with issues at hand. True, the theme of our convention is reform, is Malaysia in reform, and we are talking about some of the sessions are on building capacities. We talk about the type of skills, the competencies, but interestingly, for instance, the World Bank, Richard Record talked about health, that how health is also important in us to produce the human capital with productivity and also the safety net. So this is an interesting angle. So if we were to keep it very academic, some of these things may not come up, yeah? And on the issue of governance, we have regulations, how regulations are important, rule of law, the auditing, the accountability of our organizations, of the government is important. And evidence out there shows that when you have war and corruption, it will affect economic growth in the short run. But in the long run, it's going to be worth the while. So let's not forget the long-term view when we talk about these reforms. And the digitalization, the IR and the IR 4.0 and the Industry 4.0, some of the discussions are about stepping up our systems, the skills, the outlook, yeah? And some of the examples that may be simple, yeah, may not be the normal type of academic conferences or conventions that we've been to, but we wanted this year to be different. So that is why I think if some of you may recognize this, that even the profile of our participants this year, this time around, is quite different from the past. Now, as the president of the association, it wouldn't be just for me not to mention and to thank a group of very important people. This would include paper writers, the moderators, all the ESCO members, and also especially the organizing committee, yeah, again led by Dr. Lau and so many of our colleagues from the Faculty of Economics, and also Dr. Jora and Mala, Nancy, and the rest of you, which I can't mention all. But thank you very much. I mean, sincerely, I'm really grateful that for all the efforts that you have put in. My thanks would also go to the sponsors for the financial support, and also to the hotel management. I think it was well supported. Our technical staff from the Faculty of Economics, represented also by the Dean of the Faculty, Associate Professor Dr. Rohana. Thank you very much for staying on. And also, congratulations to all of you who stay on until now. Yeah, but don't worry, there'll be nice tea out there waiting for you. And we are not that late. Yeah, we're not that late, Tan Sri. So you're a good timekeeper. I've been reminded by Mrs. Koo Siew Man that some of our events we dragged on. So this time around, we managed our time so efficiently that we had a lot of time for discussions as well. So I'm indeed very delighted that we're able to do that. And ladies and gentlemen, please don't forget to, what's the word, tune on to our next event. There are lots of things happening with the association, so please support us, and in supporting you, yeah, also if you have events that you want to co-organize with us, come forward. We don't have that many people. We only have Mala Nancy, that's it. Times 4, times 5, times 6. Yeah, so, yeah, but we have the support from their friends as well, and we are most grateful. Yeah, so with that, ladies and gentlemen, have a good rest of the day. Yeah, the rest of the day, be safe, be happy. Yeah, and we'll see you again. Thank you very much.